What's up, everybody? We're back at it. Psych Perspectives, GeoFucks. Now, once again, under Trump's administration, okay, under the Republicans, there's always this, oh, it's the Democrats' fault for why we're having a government shutdown. Even though the Republicans have the majority. Okay, the Republican Party has the majority in the Senate, majority in the House of Representatives, your Congress folks, and they're also the president and the vice president. So the shutdown is not on the Democrats. The shutdown is on the Republican Party and Trump's administration. Just like how they try to blame transgender people, LGBTQ people, poor people, immigrants, black folks, Hispanic, Latinos, Native Americans, Asian, Pacific Islander, people of color. They're all women. They're always trying to find a different demographic to scapegoat their responsibilities on, and to use as the scapegoat to justify why things are going so horribly under a Republican majority-led government. Now, it's just getting ridiculous. Now, I made countless videos during President Trump's first term, 2016 to 2020, 2021. And I literally documented the first government shutdown we had under him. Because if y'all remember, ending 2018, going into 2019, we were in a government shutdown under Trump. And this just further highlights the problems that we're going to continue to see. Now, today, we've had countless major corporations announce mass layoffs, including Amazon, who's laying off 17,000 plus workers. UPS is also laying off people. General Motors, the big three, various corporations and businesses are laying people off. Keep in mind, these are the same corporations with the CEOs who have bought and sold elected officials. They're literally buying our politicians via lobbyists and literally controlling elections. Who gets elected, who doesn't, who gets supported, who doesn't, what policies and legislations pass, what doesn't. All in favor of the rich and the wealthy. All in favor of the corporations. You got to remember, we're dealing with, authoritarianism, dictatorship, anti-democracy, fascism, and oligarchy. The rich and the wealthy and the corporations are controlling the show here. And yet we're constantly talking about, some people are constantly talking about how these very same corporations that already don't pay living wages, that reflect the cost of living, that take inflation into consideration, that take your education or your years of experience into consideration, never taking that into consideration. These corporations also don't take productivity levels into consideration either when they're determining what your wages and salaries will be. But we're constantly talking about how they are job creators, yet they're also simultaneously laying off everybody. So how is a job creator also taking away jobs, while also finding a way to constantly give the rich and the wealthy and the corporations tax cuts at the expense of you and I, of the working class, of the working people, of the taxpayers? The working and the middle class. So it's just something to think about, y'all. It is something to think about because this is an ongoing issue. Now, here we are, and one economic disaster after the next. Mass layoffs, hyperinflation, nothing is affordable. Everything from your car payments to rent to mortgage to property taxes to groceries. People are struggling to meet basics, water, food, shelter, housing, things of that nature. People are struggling to get their basics met. And here we are, the so-called job creators are laying off everybody. Laying people off despite the fact that they have had record-breaking profits. Let's say that again. I'm going to take a swig of this real quick. Record-breaking profits. Despite the fact that they are having record-breaking profits, they're still laying off the employees that allowed them to have those record-breaking profits. The CEOs are still going to have their positions. The top executive level folks, they're going to still have their positions. And if they do get fired or let go, they're going to get a nice payout. They're already making millions of dollars a year on top of the fact that they're going to get a nice payout, and they're likely just going to get recycled by another corporation. Meanwhile, everyday people like you, like me, like us, when we get laid off, we're not getting some crazy compensation package. You're lucky to get one last paycheck. You're lucky to get a severance. You're lucky to be eligible for unemployment. You're lucky to have $500 in a savings account somewhere. These are privileges, blessings, and luck for everyday folks. Meanwhile, the executive class type folks, the CEOs, they're good. They're good. But they're laying everybody off. And then, isn't this odd? Isn't this during the holiday season? And it's wild because you have all of these Republicans, these right-wing conservative, Trump-supporting, mega capitalist lovers, family first, Christian evangelicals who love to talk about the importance of family and religion and holidays and people having children, while simultaneously laying off hundreds of thousands, millions of people during the holiday season, right before the holiday season. So much for family, children. How Christ-like is it to lay off people that you're already not paying a living wage right before the holiday season? How Christ-like is it to cut off SNAP benefits, EBT food stamps to the poorest of the poor in our country, cutting the children off of food and nourishment? I thought you wanted people to have kids. This is not encouraging people to have children. This is one of the many reasons why many of us don't want kids and aren't interested in starting families, because it's not affordable. Not to mention, there are no safety nets for people who have children, for people who have families, for everyday people. There's no safety nets. Like, literally, you lose your job and you're likely going to lose your home, your car, your food, your health care. Your sense of security will likely be gone because you lost your job. But then they want to talk about, oh, you need to start a family. You gotta have kids. Oh my God, why aren't you having children? Can we really be serious right now? Who can afford to take care of themselves, let alone children and a family, on today's cost of living, when we're being laid off and fired and let go from jobs left and right, when jobs already don't pay living wages? Again, 86% of SNAP beneficiaries work jobs, part-time and or full-time jobs. And 86% of them are eligible for SNAP benefits, EBT food stamps, because despite the fact that 86% of them are employed, full-time and or part-time, they're not paid enough to live, which is why they're on SNAP benefits, EBT, food stamps, Medicaid. Because their jobs, the corporations, the employers, are refusing to pay livable wages. But then they want to talk about people being lazy and not trying hard enough and not budgeting and not doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And yet simultaneously refusing to pay you enough so you can do A, B, C, D, F, G. Ain't that some shit? But that's what it's like living in the USA. That's what it's like living in capitalism. You're blamed for the situations that they put you in. It's always going to be your fault living in the USA as an individual for any and everything that happens in your life. Even though you didn't create these laws and policies and systems of oppression to keep people down. Do you really think your average person would be working somewhere that doesn't pay them enough to live if they had a choice? Better yet, do you think the average person would be working if they didn't have to pay to live in the first place? And if they do work, it would probably be something that's actually meaningful. And you probably wouldn't be working 40 plus hours a week every week. Lives would be a lot different. Let's just be honest with ourselves. At least some of us can admit that. But I just want to throw that out there. And yet, this is where a lot of us mess up.